Has been written with the eye on the future leaders. And you are the future leaders. It is to groom future leaders. I've written this so that you all know what are you moving for. What are the challenges which are likely to come.
Jai Dhari Ma'am. Jai
Jai Dhari Ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening, बेटा.
Good evening, everyone.
हमारी ऑडियंसेस का स्वागत है. आइए जुड़िए. आज हमारे 81 सेशंस पूरे होते हैं. आज का सेशन इज अबाउट ग्रूमिंग लीडरशिप. हमारी किताब फियरलेस गवर्नेंस. आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे ऑथर स्पीक. ऑथर स्पीक में मैम ने अपने थॉट्स लिखे हैं. व्हाई द बुक, एंड आई थिंक इट सेट द टोन फॉर द बुक. तो उसी पे आज चर्चा करेंगे. व्हाई द बुक इज extremely important, and ma'am has written her thoughts in Authors Speak, poured her heart out. राघव गुप्ता हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं. A young boy who interned.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Raghav.
Good evening,
Very well.
everyone. It's so good to see you all.
Very well. He interned at Raj Niwas with ma'am, and he's going to share his experience with us today, with all of you today. जी, मामी आप बताएं.
So welcome, Raghav. I'm going to ask you to speak to the youngsters about internship, the value of internship, learnings through internship, leadership lessons you learned during internship, right? So it will be, so once I will bring you into it time to time. Thank you
Sure,
for
ma'am.
coming. I know you've come a little distance, but thank you for coming.
The pleasure is all mine, ma'am.
Thank you, son. Harsh is with us. Harsh is from Vizianagaram, right, Harsh? Harsh?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm from Vizianagaram.
Very good. And Lavanya Tuli is from New Delhi. Lavanya, you from New Delhi?
Yes, ma'am.
What part of New Delhi, Lavanya?
Ma'am, East Delhi, Krishna Nagar.
Okay. Oh. And Om Gajnan Kare from Navi Mumbai.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I am from Shahan, a small village in Vashim, Maharashtra. I am studying in Navi Mumbai.
Very nice. And then we have Ojashrita. You all have difficult names. Ojashrita Mukherjee.
Yes, ma'am.
From
I'm from Kolkata.
And Yukta from
I'm
Ghaziabad.
from Ghaziabad.
Okay, great. So most welcome to this grooming leadership show program. And I believe the demonstrative learning team had sent you this soft copy of the chapter which we are discussing today. Am I right? I hope you all read it.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get the rest of the book to read, or only the chapter? They were stingy and only sent you that chapter. Did they send
The
you the
whole
rest of the
book.
book?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
We
They
got
ma'am.
the
did
whole
send you
book.
the rest.
We got
Yes,
the
you
whole
did.
book.
You got the whole book.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Who out of you read the rest of the book, or portions of the rest of the book? Who? Raise your hand. Those of you who went beyond the chapter. Harsh, you went? Harsh, you did?
Yes, ma'am. I read few other chapters too, like the strategic SWOT, Raj Nivas to the people of Nivas too.
Acha, you read that section.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody else read anything else other than the author speaks, so you only did um, important questions, not the general questions. Lavanya, you didn't find the time to read or even skim through the rest of the chapters? Lavanya?
Ma'am, I did not read the whole of the chapters, but I did give a look at few.
Okay. Om, what about you?
Yes, ma'am. I also skimmed through the chapters and I also did a research on YouTube and Google.
Acha, you went through those. Oh, Joshruta?
I'm currently reading chapter 6 now, ma'am. It's taking a bit of time, but I'm going to read the whole book for sure.
Okay. And Yukta?
I started with chapter 1, but it's not complete yet.
Okay. And Aman?
No, I'm going to start the chapter from first. I read the author's paper and also the summary of the book.
So you're also from Navi Mumbai, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So do you all have a reading habit? Or you have a lot of homework to do all the time? A lot of projects to write? Are you all very pressured, all you youngsters? How much pressured are you? I want to ask you, because a very critical part of any leadership is reading a lot. If you read the biographies of successful people and who made it to the top, they read a lot. They're very avid readers. So what about you? I've noticed the reading habit is declining gradually, while of course viewing habit is increasing because the viewing is faster. You see quickly and you grasp it, and because you're using all your five senses. But in reading, you need more undisturbed time, which the our iPhones don't. Our phones do not allow us because there are notifications coming all the time, and you want to check your email quickly, you want to check your WhatsApp quickly, you want to check your phones quickly. Am I right? The time for now concentrated attention has shrunk. Am I right, Shra? Why is the real? Now, my question to you youngsters is, though it's out of course, this was not discussed. Sana, am I permitted to ask?
Yes, please, ma'am.
Okay. Because I know you are a very avid reader. I want to ask you, how do you concentrate on so much of reading? Because you've been reading a lot and concentrating. Why has the reading habit declined, Harsha? What do you think? Let me ask Raghav. Raghav?
Sure, ma'am. Primarily, I think due to the involvement of technology, I truly feel now people are getting more secluded from books. I think due to the increasing attention span, a decreasing attention span, and more involvement inside the technology, I feel primarily we're shifting off from the reading habit. I think I would try to inculcate it as well. However, it is becoming a bit difficult because this is coming into our routine. So that's why, but I primarily feel that one should properly give around 1 hour every day to read. I think before bed works for everyone.
What do you think, Harsh?
Yes, ma'am. Because I think when there is an interaction among the people and so on, the perceptions which they form, they observe through the books. I mean, it paves the path to learn more, and uh, the book will give the visualization of what they do. But nowadays, when they're far away from the reading habit, I mean, it's because it indicates a kind of insecurity. I mean, they're bounded to think in a particular direction, maybe, or directly getting the things whenever they wish, and they're bounding themselves to explore more, maybe. That's the cause they're, I mean, far away from the reading habit, what I feel.
So reading, you say, restricts them, whereas they want open
Uh,
air.
I mean, no, ma'am. The reading would pave a direction to visualize the things. So, but they are restricting themselves not to go beyond the boundaries and adopting the ready-made solutions which they get, uh, which they see in daily life. They are adopting themselves. So they are not into the not preferring to visualize the bigger aspects or going beyond the boundaries. So, book is a platform which makes them to visualize and think on their own to move in a proper direction and form like they can judge on their own to learn about themselves. So the ready-made solutions which they are getting in their life or the comforts are binding them uh, to go beyond the horizons or restricting. That's what I.
Okay. Lavanya, what do you think? Why
Ma'am,
has the
I
reading
also
habit gone
have.
down?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, I believe that I also have the same point. I believe that people are becoming more technologically interactive rather than forming a connection with the text. And we as humans, we always look out for the easier option. And having the OTT platforms today, we always look out that it is easy to watch rather than to read and to concentrate and to understand what the text is trying to say or what the author or the writer is trying to say.
Okay. Om?
Ma'am, I personally like to read a lot, and I have also read a lots of novels. But I think the problem with the majority is that they don't like to read these days because the involvement of social medias in our life. All the free time we have, we spend on the social media and OTT platforms. So that's why our connection towards reading is decreasing.
Okay. Ojuswita?
Ma'am, I too believe that social media is one of the biggest reasons why the habit of reading has decreased because different types of trends nowadays, performing a small trend over video or making something new might take just 30 seconds, and watching them is way more uh, interesting or entertaining than reading a big book. But I personally like reading books a lot, and so I think. Reading shouldn't go down. I mean, the interest of reading books shouldn't really go down as it is going now, man.
Yukta?
Ma'am, people are searching for more shortcuts, and instead of reading books, they are involving themselves through Kindle or something, so that instead of carrying 3 books or more, they can read it on the go, and they are working more on Kindle in spite of using books and all.
But Kindle is also reading, Yukta.
Ma'am, instead of books, they are more technologically driven and they prefer Kindle more over books.
I agree, but books is in the Kindle. Kindle is all books.
Yes, ma'am.
So book is a Kindle. I'm saying why has reading reduced? You may read it on Kindle, you may read it on a hard book. That doesn't matter. But it's book reading. In fact, Kindle makes the reading easier because even when you're traveling, you don't have to carry so many books. You just have all your books in that one plate.
Yes, ma'am.
But despite that, the reading habit has gone down. That's what I'm probably thinking.
That's
Hasn't it?
surely because of social media and other distractions.
Social media is a big. Aman, what do you think?
Ma'am, growing use of television and internet facilities have also resulted in decline of the book reading habits, ma'am. The diminishing number of visitors to different public libraries and building business of the leading booksellers and the publishers in the state come from the growing partly of the like industry towards books. And the second reason I would say, ma'am, the books are now they are also available in audio formats, ma'am. It makes it easier to consume the book contents easier. That's all, ma'am.
So do you read your study books? I mean, your course books, do you read them?
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes
Do you
I'm
read them?
also reading some novels, ma'am.
Yeah, but you as students, are you reading your course books? How do you manage to read your course books? And how do you maintain this attention for your course books? I'm just wondering. Would you like to tell me anything, Raghav?
Sure, ma'am. So primarily in our university, the course that I have been pursuing, which is BMS, usually it is more oriented in form of case studies. So whenever we had a case study meeting or a discussion where we had to read all of the case studies, I would primarily switch off my phone and devote all my time to read the case study, because we just don't have to read the case study. We have to understand and we have to derive the business oriented implication from it. So in order to do it, and it's a long case study, around 25 to 30 pages, just for one type of business. So to understand it better and to analyze what went wrong, what could have been done, and what is the future of that business, we have to devote a particular time for that and do not have to get distracted at any cost. And the other thing which I truly understand, ma'am, is whenever you're doing something, you have to make note of it. So whatever you're reading, you have to write it on the other hand, and you have to understand why things are happening in that way. So this is my, I think, tactic, and it works well with me. Would love to hear about others as well.
Harsh, what do you do? How do you handle your reading your course books?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm from engineering background, so our entire the paragraphs or so they are underlined with the principles like what guides them. So while reading, what I prefer is I would try to understand um, the reason behind it, and I would use those logics to understand the practical applications, which in turn involves in the society to guide or to implement any rules, or because those are the consequences which would be strategically made to drive any changes. So while reading or focusing on something, I would analyze the principle behind it, or those are in turn made after a lot of research work by the authors or the previous scientists who have done that.
I'm
So
asking a question. My question is, please understand the question.
yes,
Always listen to the question first.
yes,
Don't start thinking of the answer first. Start first habit is listen to the question. My question is, when you have to read your story, your coursework, how do you, because it's reading now, how do you read then? That's my question.
yes, ma'am. I mean, I would free myself from uh, different distractions and would focus on the things which I wanted to, and
Do
analyze
you
the
do,
things.
do you do this or do you manage both?
Ma'am,
Do you do this? Do you put aside distractions or do you try and balance both? Do you manage both?
yes, ma'am. I read when I'm reading, there would be slight distractions, but I focus more on what I wanted to. I would free myself, and I would concentrate on that.
What Raghav said was that he switches off his phone. Do you do this or you manage both?
No, ma'am. Don't put my phone beside. I would put all, whatever is distracting me. I will be free from. I will be sitting alone while I wanted to focus or complete a certain work. I will be targeting only on that for
I'm
that time.
asking you
Like
another, I'm again asking you right pointed question, and you're not answering my question. I'm training
yes,
you people to listen. Please listen to my question. Tomorrow you will be in interview, and in the interview, if you don't listen to the question, you'll be out. I'm asking you a question. Do you put off your distraction, or which is your one of your phone, or do you manage both? My question is this. Answer this pointedly.
put off my distractions, ma'am.
That's it. So please, part of the grooming of leadership is listening.
Yes, ma'am.
Get my point, Harsh?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand? My
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here. This session is to groom leadership, right? And in the grooming leadership, one of the major qualities, listen. Listen. Okay? I'll come into the author page, but listen. Okay, Lavanya, how do you handle your distraction? As you all have agreed that there is social media is a distraction and it's coming in the way of reading. So how do you manage your college books, course books?
Ma'am, okay, so I'm pursuing my master's in English literature and communication studies. The course itself is all about books and stories. So whenever I feel that I'm being distracted from my course or my course books, and I feel that it is becoming boring, so I try to look out for the other options, and I try to make use of the technology that I have. I try looking at the videos, and then maybe watch a movie, and then I read the book again, so that I do get the interest, and I get all the visuals of the movie itself. So I basically do that with my course, and that works for me.
So you juggle. You juggle.
Yes, ma'am, kind of.
Okay. Om, what about you?
Ma'am, the thing is,
You said you read.
reading
You
are,
said you are fond of reading. How do you also balance? Do you juggle or do you switch off and switch on like that?
uh, ma'am, I'm balanced between both. Ma'am, the thing is, reading our course book is a compulsion, while reading novels is a choice. So the, the thing is simple. Like if we read our course book, we will get more marks, but the novels and the newspaper we read, they don't get count as marks, and we don't get marks from them. So people just skip that.
I'm only asking you again. Now, question is, I'm asking you. I'm not asking people. I'm asking how you do it.
Ma'am, I like reading, ma'am, and I also like studying, so it's not a big thing for me.
I'm not asking you like reading or not. Again, please listen to my question. I'm asking you, how do you handle when you're reading your course book? Do you balance, keep the social media on, or do you put aside and put it off and say, I'll return to it after 1 hour? I will deal with it later. Do you do this? I'm asking you this.
Yes, ma'am. I balance between the both, ma'am.
You balance.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? Okay, good. All right. Ojosh? Ojosh?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, for me, reading is a plus point as I am pursuing an honors degree in English literature. So, my syllabus contains all kinds of authors and poets and their writings. But sometimes, obviously, my phone is a big distraction for me. So, when I'm not reading the hardbound book, I just open the web pages and read more about the syllabus from other articles and such as such, so that I just use my social accounts as another part of my syllabus, as
That
my
is reading.
curriculum.
When you read
Yes,
even
ma'am.
on the net, it is reading. I'm saying it's reading, whether you're reading on Kindle or you're reading on the web or you're researching, that's reading. I'm not talking of viewing, talking of reading. So you are reading on the web. What do you do with social media distraction? What do you do with that?
Ma'am, I don't really keep my phone away from me because uh, it is really hard as I am a NCC cadet. So most of the times my seniors might message me about something important, but I do keep it on silent mode so that when I'm reading something and concentrating on it, then I won't pick up my calls or directly message or reply to my messages. So
Okay,
that is the
good.
only
Thank
thing
you.
I do.
Thank you. Yukta, what about you? What do you do?
Ma'am, I'm from engineering background, so I try to balance between both because sometimes I have to work on computer, sometimes it's on mobile phone. I have to see something practically. But for myself, I try to control so that I don't get distracted by social media, and I just control myself that I have not to see this, and I have to study right now, and then I have to do this.
Okay. Aman?
Yes, ma'am, I do reading. I'm currently pursuing BBA first year. Ma'am, I don't get easily distracted, but when I'm reading, I put my phone on silent mode. If while reading, if I don't get any word, I just Google them, and so that I can learn more about the word, ma'am.
What is happening, Saina? Do you see, observe what is happening between the students reading, their concentration, undivided attention, and also their social media handles? I'm not reading can be from any. What do you think is happening? Apparently,
It doesn't have to be one over the other. You can take everything along, and I think you all are fairly doing well because you all are bright kids and into wonderful careers. But yes, I think holding a book, reading, does require a certain level of concentration. It does require a commitment. It does require that attention span. It needs to be a need in you. So if you can keep that in mind, that the content that you're consuming is as important as everything else, because the content you're consuming the whole day is setting the tone for your next day, for your work, for your studies, for your thinking process. So for me, what I am sensing is the attention span. It has to be a priority, it has to be a need in you to read. And the content that you're going to be consuming, whether it's through a Kindle or a phone or a book, it should matter to you. It should mean something to you. That's the main objective. You have to give that content that kind of sacredness. So pick your content well. It will, and work on your attention span as youngsters. It's a
does it
very
make
important
sense?
it's a very
Very well.
important character trait also. The way you hold your attention span will also reflect in your relationships later. It's a very important character trait. Holding your attention span, being in the moment, giving it your all. But it doesn't have to be one over the other. Social media is a choice. You can choose what you want to see. So make that choice. It doesn't have to be one over the other. It can all go hand in hand. It's up to you.
But it has to be prioritized. What is the priority? I think the question is that's part of grooming. What's the priority for that time? What is a bigger priority? And how can that priority be fully invested into? I don't know whether it's making sense to you youngsters. Is it? Is it making sense what Saina and we are all talking about? Is it making sense? Yes or no? Raise your hand if it is.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
it is. What I'm trying to tell you, yes, thank you. So grateful to you that you're listening. Thank you, Saina. That I'm so glad that you're listening because your age is also uh, not easy that you listen. It's a favor you do when you listen to another senior. It's not easy. Teachers have quite a task with holding your attention span when they are lecturing. Well, last 2 years you've hardly had any. Last 2 years you've only done it your way. But I would think that it's not have to. You have to have the. I think you need to prioritize. Social media messages can be held. They can be a messaging to say I'm away for it for the next 2 hours, please do not disturb, or saying leave your messages but 2 hours I'm not with you. This can be a simple way. I'm sure there's an application for this somewhere. You put it on silent mode, yes, but is that message, unless you're a doctor and the patient will call you and I'm saying, hey, I'm going to heartbeat, you're not a doctor yet. You're not doctors. You're not police officers. That you're on an emergency. You're not a fire brigade. Are you? Are you fire brigade? Are you police officers? Are you medical doctors? If not, then I think priority over the subject teaching will have to be made, I think, considered a choice, a very important choice. Now, the second question is, but as Saina said, you have to evaluate how important it is for you. How important it is. Because unless and best reading is when you read and make your notes, recall. It's a recall. That's what you some make. Some read and they're very bright. Vivekananda's memory. He read and he knew. But we are not Vivekanandas. We are far away from Vivekananda and we're getting further away with so much of distraction. Swamiji had no distraction. He had no distraction at all in his life. So he led a life of focused concentration. That's why he became the monk. But of course, none of us are on the way to be a monk. But question is prioritizing. I'm only trying to make you think. I'm not in any way telling you to do this and don't do that. But we're analyzing, choosing a priority. If that media management messaging is important, do that. But so I could probably conclude this as though this is not part of the thinking. I'm just, because when I asked you, how much have you read? You read so little of the book. In fact, you hardly read. When we gifted you a free book of this thing, you've hardly read. Whereas the curiosity would have been, you can probably keep awake for a whole film. One day, if you're attracted to a good film on the OTP, you will keep awake till 2 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock at night and you'll watch the film. Why won't you? But how important it is important as students. And knowing that you're going to have a show with me, you all have barely read the minimal. You've come here with the minimal, not the maximum. I would have rewarded one of you today with a hard copy book if you had done better, any one of you. But none of you have done that well. But you are reflective of a youth culture at the moment. That's why we decided to do book reading, because otherwise you won't read. You won't have time to read. You are barely managing in juggling, as I said. I'm only coming to what you are all saying. You are all balancing and juggling between coursebook and your media, coursebook and your friends, coursebook and your messages. You're juggling. And that means very highly divided attention. That means your consumption or attention is very partial, or it will not be as strong as you want it to be. That means your learning is not so strongly internalized at all. You're managing. You're not absorbing. There's a difference between management and absorption. Whereas very good academics demands absorption, assimilation. It sinks in, and you reflect, and then you recall, and then you put away. I think I want you to think about it. I want you to understand, children, boys and girls, no more, sorry, not children, boys and girls, young men and women, is that, as Saina said, attention span is now reflective of your character traits. And if that can be developed, now, how do you develop that attention span? Two things. One is, of course, inculcating a reading habit by plan. When is the undistracted time of the day for you? Is it night? Is it morning? That means you are scheduling to read at that time and not switch on. That means it's a discipline. It's a very important discipline now. It's a big challenge for you youngsters to earn this discipline. We didn't have distractions. We had this concentration. That's why life gave us much more in return. None of us, fortunately for me, we had none of these distractions. But you are born with distractions today. Born with. So you are an age of distracted environment, and you're managing academics alongside. Remember, reading on the web, etc., is part of reading. But having switching on to OTP, film, mixing it up, and then a text message and then a WhatsApp is very distracting. It is. So absorption, that means basically we're trying to pick everything of every little bit of everything. I want you to think about it. Okay, give it a thought. If you want to outstand in your academics, then those will outstand, I want to tell you, with those who absorb their reading with concentration. How do you do that? Is you all have to find a way out. You all have to. So one takeaway is think about it. How do you do it? When can you do it? And will you do it? Would you inculcate the discipline to do it? I want you to think about it. Would you? Would you? Would you consider
Yes.
thinking about it? And
Yes,
find
ma'am.
your own solutions.
Yes.
Find your own solutions. But it requires a habit and a disciplined habit trait. Okay, I'm not asking you now, what did you read in the author space? Because you have already asked me questions here, which I've got from the demonstrative learning team. So I'm going to quickly go over the questions, and they will be reflective of you having read that chapter, Author Speak, and ask. So now Aman asked me this question. Aman asked me two questions. Ma'am, when did you realize you wanted to play your sport at the professional level? Aman, I never did. I never played professionally. I only prepared for amateur tennis because I did not want to make tennis my professional career. You understand? Because I knew that there's a limitation in a sports professional, whereas there's no limit in academic career. In tennis, you can reach your peak at the age of 25, 27, 28. Very rarely do you go across because there's a physical limitation. So it is not my professional level, number one part of the question. Second part is you asked, how was your experience leading all male contingent on Republic Day? Okay. Have you read the chapter?
Ma'am, I
It's out of
read. Yeah.
Author Speak, right? Yeah, I've read, this is a line in that Author Speak.
Yes.
Yes, my experience was that I volunteered to work that extra. My experience was, if you
Yes.
notice, part of the writing in the chapter is I was not being given the opportunity to lead the parade. I went to the IGP to say, "Sir, why am I being ignored when I have the seniority?" So I asked for it. I asked, number one, you never achieve. Now, there's a lesson in this. So I'm giving you lessons out of this chapter. You remember, you never achieve what you want to achieve unless you claim for it and put your neck into it. And then you deliver it. And then you process it. And then you put your action into it. You would have never asked me this question today if I'd not done what I did. And I was almost your age. How old are you, Aman?
I'm 19 years old, ma'am.
Huh?
19 years old.
90. I was 3 years older than you only then, or 4 years maximum. So 4 years away. Would you volunteer? If you have an option and it requires a lot of hard work and that you are moving, I want to now ask you, if you are being deprived and there's a lot of hard work there, somebody else is being given an option to do something like this, would you volunteer? Or you say, अच्छा है, दूसरा करेगा, मुझे नहीं चाहिए. अच्छा मैं बच गया. Would you say मैं बच गया? Or would you say मैं क्यों बचा? मुझे चाहिए.
Yes.
That is differentiates a follower between a leader. What was I? I had not gone to a leadership school, but I volunteered to say, why have I been? I knew it meant 20 kilometers of walk every day, practicing in high winter of Delhi. And I volunteered. And I could lead the parade. And today you're asking me this question. So what was my experience? My experience was I volunteered. I loved it. Because I volunteered, I loved it. I respected it. And I delivered it. And I lived up to it. And I proved that a woman is no less than a boy. I proved to the world, given the chance, woman only needs an opportunity. She's got the confidence, she delivers. And I proved that bias is wrong. Why are you biasing against me? Why were you biased? Because I was a woman? I was a girl? You were not sure whether the girl will deliver. So, see, that was my experience. That's a message
Absolutely.
of leadership from you. So, when you get a chance like that, test yourself. Are you running away or are you taking on the marathon?
We take the
When you think,
opportunity.
good. All right. So, that's you, Aman, is your
Thank
answer.
you, ma'am.
Now, let's see. Bodu, Harsh,
Yes,
your
ma'am.
questions are two. Ma'am, you served our nation as IPS, you pursued PhD from IIT. Could you please say about preparation strategy to a balanced career in terms of UPSC services and research? Now, this is not out of that author speak. I'm linking my questions to the author speak. Or you're trying to derive out of it is okay, welcome. But then your second question is, you could you please say what kind of initiatives would you suggest for future generations need to be taken to preserve integrity along with development of technology? What kind of initiative would you suggest for few need to be taken to preserve integrity along with you talk of character development with technology development, isn't it? Now, these are very interesting questions, complex questions. Now, let me answer the first part. So, could you please say about preparation strategy to balance career in terms of UPSC and research? How will research come to you if you don't read? UPSC will demand a lot of reading from you, let me tell you that. And if you're not a reader at the moment and you don't have your attention spans, you'll find it hard. I could study for hours at a stretch without any distraction. Hours. Raghav was saying, let's put aside 1 hour to study. I used to set up till I read. I needed a little break, so I would have my cup of milk. And then I would take a break and I'll maybe take a little nap to refresh. Then I would study, and then UPSC demands hours of studies. And it's all research. It's not one book which will work. The wider your knowledge is, the better for the UPSC. Number one. So if you're looking for UPSC, please look at your attention span and your reading habits. You understand? Number two. Well, you said that how do you preserve integrity along with development of technology? How are the two different? Development of technology is from your head and the heart and the hands. And what is your character and what is your mind? Now, reading will also give you a lot of ideas. Reading and OTPs and all other things you're getting is ideas. Technology is all about today solution providing. How will you use, as you seek, look at world around, you see a problem or you see an issue, that's what a new application is formed. That's when a new technology is formed. What is technology? Technology is a solution to making things better, moving things faster, making things easier, right? Making things more knowledgeable and intelligible. So your character, habits, and your variety in your thinking, creativity is very much linked. But integrity is critical because the person behind the technology is also very important, because in the end you're going to do business. In the end you will be a leader. In the end you'll be a team member. In the other one day you'll become a startup maybe. You're dealing with finance. All this is linked. So you are not separate. Integrity and technology are coming both from your mind, your character, and your idea, and your creativity. All this requires attention spans again. Remember that. Okay? Okay, Harsh? I hope I can, in my
Yes,
limited time,
ma'am.
I can answer it partially. So it's don't say that, ma'am, she could not answer enough. Well, I have limitation of time to share it amongst the seven of you.
Yes,
Hmm?
ma'am. Thank
I've
you.
been asked to share with seven of you. Okay, Lavanya Tuli. You said, Lavanya, what is your question?
Ma'am, my question was that while reading and getting to know your journey of success, we realized that it wouldn't have been easier. So, how difficult was it to overcome all the failures without getting demotivated?
Well, if I failed, if I call it a failure, is when I lost my tennis match because I was a tennis player. I didn't win from day one. I started as a beginner. When I began, I used to lose in the first round. Then as I grew, I lost in the semifinals. Then as I grew, I lost in the finals. And as I grew, I won in the finals. But I didn't start from winning the finals from day one. I had failures. So if I recall, I think the only bigger failures was when I would return home not having won the trophy. I would analyze, why did I fail? Why did I not win? What can I? So it was an analysis. So it was not, the question is, if I wanted to do it better, I would analyze, why did I not win? Well, other player was better. Then how do I better? That means I practice more, I improve my forehand, or I improve my backhand, or I move my strength, or I go for a better coaching, or I do my more fitness. That's called the analysis. So the journey, it would have been easier. How difficult it was to overcome the failures. I didn't sit and cry and sulk. Of course, I felt sad. I felt, why did I not win? Why did I let down my parents who were hoping I would win, or my friends, or my relatives? But then I had to just work harder. So rather than sulk and give up, I didn't give up. I went back to the tennis court, worked harder, and did better. So competition is all about not failures. Competition is all about experiences. Get it, Lavin? So how do you deal with it is important.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ojashwita
Right, ma'am.
Mukherjee? Yeah, thanks. Ojita from Kolkata, what's your question?
Ma'am, as you had mentioned in your book that you have always focused on your goals and you had a very clear vision about what is to be done and what you want to do. Ma'am, our generation, our age group, we always tend to get diverted from our goals and how to keep our focus and how to not get diverted. Ma'am.
You're coming back to the opening statement, opening first part of our discussion. You are admitting that there is a challenge, there is an issue. You are admitting.
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, the answer lies in, how do you improve your attention spans? How do you improve your timetable management? How do you improve your discipline in what you want? Because you will only get that much in whatever you focus on. It's a total focus. What I'm saying is, in my chapter, if you notice, as you read the book, as you said, you're reading the book, please do read the book, because this will help you in your interviews. You are all going to be asked this book. I can tell you that when you move up in your interviews, because it's leadership governance. You may be asked. And if you have the right answers, and what could you possibly do, you never know, you may get a few marks extra. But what is in this book? The author speak, or in the or where the focus was Pondicherry, because my purpose was very clear. Purpose was, what am I there for? I'm there for prosperity of the people. In prosperity, can you be lazy as a leader? Can you be dishonest as a leader? Can you not be connecting with the people as a leader? Can you not be looking at problems as a leader? Should you not be a problem solver as a leader? Can you not be a listener as a leader? Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes,
That's the
ma'am.
point. So if you have to do this, you have to prioritize again. The word is going for what you want, and then making that everything. And there's a chapter in that book, I think the next or the third, when you want something, make it everything. If you look at the next picture, go to that, I think chapter 2 or 3, when you want something, make it everything. I made Pondicherry everything. I put aside everything else. Visiting homes, visiting relatives was put aside. It was waiting. But that didn't, because moving out of Pondicherry meant 1 week off. Because you have to drive from Pondicherry to Tamil Nadu, Chennai, then take a flight back, and then drive back. Straight away, you're 4 days dislocated. 4 days dislocation, I couldn't afford. I didn't want a day location. Why? Because I'd made it everything. I got many invitations from overseas and others to go and speak, make speaking engagements. I regretted each one of them because every overseas invitation for me meant at least 10 days dislocation, overseas travel. So if I come and go, yes, it's 1 week. But I didn't choose because for me, that was everything. So when you want something very much, you want UPSC, you have to give it everything. That means you'll have to get up early. You have to plan, you focus on your subjects of English literature as you do. Then you read more and you assimilate and you recall that, then you're giving it everything. Those of you who would give everything will get everything. And that's why I got everything in return. In what did I get everything? I got results which I wanted. So that's about it. Okay? That's my short answer.
Thank you, ma'am.
So you have to choose how much you want to give. Just the sweeter you want, the more good you put, the sweeter it becomes. The more good you put in or sugar you put, the sweeter it gets. But you want to give it less, it will be less sweet. But you can't say, hey, it's not sweet because you haven't put enough sugar or you haven't put enough effort. All right. Om, your question?
In author speak of your book, you said that I dealt with political establishment seeking acquiescence and expected me to wear the rubber stamp. Instead, they witnessed the fundamentals of good governance. So my question is, how do we deal with the people who tries to suppress us and make sure that we don't break in the process and only rise stronger?
Your question here is, you Om Ganjan, right?
Yes, ma'am. Om Ganjan, correct.
In this here, in author speak of your book, you say, I knew what was not for me. Am I right? Was this your question? Or you changed your question?
Ma'am, that was my second question, ma'am. This is my first question.
Okay. Yes, you got a second question. These are two questions. I knew what was not for me. That's your first question. I never allowed anything imposed on me. But what can you? Now, this is a very important question you asked, which is good for you, all of you, to know the answer. And I knew in the author speak it's written, I knew what was, because when I was being given household as a subject and I want mathematics, I wanted science. I did not take, and I had to change my school at the age of 12 and a half or 13, when I said, I don't want household as a subject. I want science as a subject, because I knew what I did not want to do, which is household budget management. I wanted to earn for the household rather than be a homemaker at that age. I did not want to be a homemaker. I wanted to be a provider, home provider at that stage. So being very clear in your vision is very important at the moment for you, because then you start giving it everything. I want to be in the UPSC, or I want to be an engineer, or I want to be a startup, or I want to be earning from here this much. Be very clear, and that's your plan, and then your everything goes accordingly. The clearer you are, the better. I was benefitly, and that's why I could achieve the services at the age of 22. At the age of 22, I was already in the Indian Police Service. I was a young officer already. Why? Because I'd given it all from the age of 9 or prior. You said the second question dealt with political acquiescence. Yes. We witness. How do we deal with the people who tries to suppress us? Make sure. Now the rest of the book is for you. The rest of the book is all solutions. Now, answer lies in the rest of the book. Go through the book when you have the time. You will learn these answers to problem solving. How, as an individual, so it need not be linked with actually as a lieutenant governor, but you have an issue. How do you approach it? So read the rest of the book now. Okay? I've answered the issue which came from the author speak. Okay, Yukta, question.
Ma'am, being from North India, what made you connect with Puducherry so well?
Because I'm an Indian at heart. I'm very strongly Indian at heart. I'm not regional or linguistic or no. I embrace my country, and I travel very widely as a tennis player. So I travel the length and breadth of the country. even nationally and internationally. So my mind had grown. So it was no, oh, what the South Indian language hai, wahan hai. No, no. For me, it was all embracing. So I connected because of my openness, my nature of embracing, and my spirit of inclusiveness. Then you said your own double promotion. How were you so focused? How were you so focused about your goals at such an early age? I've given you the answer. How was I focused? See, you are asking for the question and you're looking for the answer. And today you have in all the discussion, all girls and boys, men and women, you got the answers today. So today you cannot say, hame pata nahi, bataya nahi. Okay, now I've given you 2 minutes to Raghav to tell you about how valuable I do not know whether any one of you is internships. Do you have anyone of you doing any internships? Okay, I want Raghav to quickly tell you in 2 minutes the value of internships. Look at that. Okay, Raghav.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having this round. I will start with the Yukta's statement, like how are you so focused in life. So coming on to the part of internship, I feel whenever we enter university, so a person selectively tries to understand what he has to do, and I think that's the part where internships come into play, because it helps a person to understand what they're good at. If I'm good at design, if I pursue an internship at a design firm or a design company, I'll further understand if I need to do a product design or should I go into graphic design or whatever other fields a selective field has. Second, I truly feel that it gets you into the industry quicker than everyone else, because when you are in the university, the transition between the university and to the professional life gets a bit hazard. So if a person who has started his or her internship very early, I feel they get a good chance and they get a personal connect with every other person in the professional journey, and right after the university life they can continue in a very easy transitional manner. And finally, I would like to think that internships really help a person to positively develop their own personality, and as well, they also help you to understand some of the very important parts in life. While you're doing an internship, you work like a full timer, and while you're also university student, you understand the importance of hard work and dedication. And that's the part where I had understand, ma'am, that there are some things which I need to imply in my life as well. So while I was working at Rajnivas, we were open to every kind of opportunities that we wanted to do. So I was extremely happy to write about myself. So at that point, I connected with writing and I wrote several articles for ma'am and for the office as well. I loved photography, so our coordinator Asha ma'am had put me into the Rajniwas artifacts book. So it's a journey where you explore yourself, where you understand what you're good at, and there are multiple learnings that you come round on the journey where you're heading on to. So I feel to a person should definitely start their internship or their internship experience as a professional experience very early in their life, so that they can have a positive transition and transaction ahead.
So I thought this would be a valuable input from you. Remember, even in graduation, you can still do internships. Today, companies, startups, others, volunteer internship. Don't look at how much you're getting out of it. On the contrary, what are you learning out of it? Not getting from them in monetary terms. Knowledge, skills, experience, environment, and whole spirit of learning. I think it's what you take out of it. It's very, very important. So look at the concept of internships. I thought I'll introduce you. Now that we've reached 6 o'clock, that's our deadline. Can I ask Saina, please, what would you like to say, Saina? As a roundup or any feelings of yours?
Yes, I'm going to do a little sum up for you and
Please.
leave some thoughts with you.
Okay.
What I felt while hearing you and reading the author speak. This picture. What do you see? I'm going to take 2 minutes because this is an important. What do you see in this picture? Okay. Ideally, you say, ma'am is sitting on a chair and working, right?
end
Yes?
result of an hard work.
Yeah. What I see is always leave a place better than you get it. She left it better. So that's a resolve. Any space, be it a space, be it a relationship, be it a task, anything, leave it better. You owe it to yourself. Okay. Another thing. See the flag. See the emblem. Sometimes it's important to keep reminders and then keep looking at them and reminding yourself that you're here for a purpose. So we start with that. I had learned to create solutions out of little or nothing. बेटा जो है जितना है वहां से शुरू करो. जो है जितना है वहां से शुरू करो, फिर बरकत मिलेगी. That is the meaning of abundance. ये आपके हाथ में है, आप सबके हाथ में है बरकत और abundance. जो है जितना है उसका शुक्र करो और वहां से शुरू करो. Art of self-learning. Groom yourself. Teach yourself. Unlearn. Relearn. Learn. All a process of growing up. But overnight nahi hota hai. It's a resolve. So learn to be patient also with your own self. Selflessness in action. If you are a selfless person, by nature, it will reflect in all that you do, say, think, feel. Ask yourself. These are all points for self-reflection. I felt at home in my police uniform. You have to feel at home in whatever you choose in life. No career is big or small. Are you at home doing what you're doing? It could be छोटा, बड़ा, simple, बड़ा. ये कुछ नहीं होता है. It's our personal calling. Are you at home? Do you have inner satisfaction doing what you do? That's the key. छोटा कॉलेज, बड़ा कॉलेज, छोटा स्कूल, बड़ा स्कूल, छोटा जॉब, बड़ा जॉब, छोटा करियर, बड़ा करियर. नहीं, आई एम जस्ट अ होम मेकर. जस्ट अ होम मेकर. सबसे बड़ी जिम्मेवारी, सबसे बड़ा त्याग, सबसे बड़ा प्यार, और वो भी आनंद में. सो जो भी करो आनंद में करो, और ये छोटा बड़ा नहीं, इनर सैटिस्फैक्शन. आई फेल्ट एट होम in my police uniform. So feel at home. All of you must feel at home in whatever you're doing. I valued every day of my service. Life has to begin. It will begin once I finish my college. Once I achieve that. Once I do that. And what about the life that's passing by? That's not your life. My life is yet to begin. My career is yet to start. Your life began the day you entered the womb. It began. Your prana began. And your prana has purpose. And the purpose is to be the best you. I served the people of Puducherry for nearly 5 years, making each day count. Think about what it means to make each day count. It's not about the magnitude again. It's about inner satisfaction. Because each day has a different reality. Each day comes with a different set of conditions. रोज जिंदगी कुछ शर्तें लेकर आती है. end of the day, inner satisfaction. What does that mean to you? Problem solving in any service. That was the intent. To be a part, that's your answer also. When your mindset is to be a part of the solution and not the problem, you will create solutions if there are none. Even if there are no solutions, you will create them. So think about all of this and keep moving forward. And you start to complete. You don't start to stop. Once you truly start, you start to complete. You do not start to stop. So all your challenges, the so-called failures, we need yet time to explain that, because the so-called challenges, failures, actually are a part of that start to complete. So tell yourself, I've started to complete. I've not started to stop.
Thank
And
you.
you keep
Thank you,
going.
Saina. So wonderful. Want to thank you all. Raghav, thank you.
Thank you
Harsh,
so
thank
much.
you. Lavanya, Om, Ojashruta, Yukta, and Aman. And Saina, most of all, thank you so much. You got
Thank
the
you so
best
much.
out of Saina today. You got the best out of her today.
Thank
And
you
I
so much,
hope
ma'am.
Demonstrative Learning team must have told you we will stay connected. You know that? Did they tell you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we will stay connected. We will be
Yes,
continuing
ma'am.
to nutrition ourselves every morning, give you a morning beautiful thought every morning so that you can build on that day and you can start your day, give it everything,
Yes,
give
ma'am.
it everything. And all the points which have come up during the discussions, whether it was internship, whether it was what Saina said, whatever little I said, I do hope these are like good positive seeds in your thoughts and we can nourish them. Okay? So till we meet again.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
all very much for joining.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Dharima to all of you. Stay
Thank you,
safe,
guys.
stay
Thank you.
healthy.
Thank you.
Lots of
Jai
love to
Dharma.
you. Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Push love.
Thank
Push
you.
love. Lots of love.
All the
Thank you
best.
so much.
Lots of love.
Wish you well. We'll keep in touch and watch your growth and
Ji,
progress.
ji, ji,
Thank you. Bye bye.
ji. Jai Dharima.